In the early hours of April 8, 2006, a call pierced the silence at the Waco 911 dispatch center. Pastor Matt Baker, his voice shaken and clipped, told the operator he had found his wife, Kari, lifeless in bed. The call was frantic but oddly composed. When first responders arrived at the modest home the couple shared with their 2 young daughters, Kari was indeed dead. Next to her on the nightstand, they found a bottle of sleeping pills and a typed suicide note that read, "My heart is broken. Sorry. Goodbye." To the naked eye, there was little cause for suspicion. The scene was quiet. There were no signs of a struggle, no blood, no disarray. Matt, a well-known Baptist pastor and family man, claimed he had gone to bed earlier, leaving Kari up watching TV. He said he awoke around 1 a.m. to find her cold and unresponsive. Paramedics attempted CPR, but it was too late. Kari Baker was pronounced dead. Kari's mother, Linda Doolin, received a phone call shortly after. Matt needed her to come over to take care of their daughters. The moment she arrived, a knot of unease twisted in her gut. Matt's demeanor was off, not devastated, not even particularly grief-stricken. She remembered him talking more about funeral arrangements and insurance than her daughter's death. As the days passed, that knot grew tighter. The McLennan County Sheriff's Department initially ruled Kari's death a suicide, accepting Matt's account and the note at face value. But Linda couldn't reconcile that conclusion with what she knew about her daughter. Kari had struggled in her marriage, yes, but she had also been planning to leave Matt. She had enrolled in night classes, found joy in raising her daughters, and recently started reconnecting with her faith in a new, personal way. Suicide didn't make sense. Linda pressed the police. She asked about toxicology tests, autopsy findings, digital evidence. The response was indifferent at first. But Linda was relentless. A former school administrator, she channeled her grief into a meticulous investigation of her own. She requested public records, compiled her own timeline, and gathered accounts from Kari's friends and co-workers. Then came the first break. A friend of Kari's came forward with a secret. Kari had confided in her about Matt's controlling behavior. He was emotionally abusive, manipulative, and had once threatened to kill himself if she ever left him. What's more, Kari had expressed fear that if anything ever happened to her, it would not be an accident. Linda turned this testimony over to investigators. By the fall of 2006, Linda had uncovered emails Matt had sent to a woman named Vanessa Bulls, his mistress. He had been involved with her for months prior to Kari's death. One of those emails hinted that his life would be better without all the baggage. Forensic analysis of his computer revealed late-night searches for how to stage a suicide, including how much Ambien would be required to kill someone. The suicide note found next to Kari was typed, not handwritten. Forensic document examiners confirmed it was written on the Baker's home computer. A deeper dive into metadata revealed it was created while Matt was at home, but at a time when he claimed to be at the gym. Furthermore, Kari's fingerprints were not found on the note, only Matt's. The toxicology report had initially raised no red flags. But when Linda pushed for a second opinion, an independent forensic pathologist discovered a high concentration of Ambien in Kari's blood, far more than could be explained by accidental overdose. The autopsy also noted minor bruises on her upper arms, consistent with being restrained. Investigators finally reopened the case. Matt was brought in for questioning again. This time his story faltered. When pressed about his internet search history, he grew defensive. When asked about Vanessa, he called it a moment of weakness. But the evidence was stacking up, and the case for foul play became undeniable. In early 2009, nearly 3 years after Kari's death, Matt Baker was arrested and charged with murder. His trial began in January 2010, and it was one of the most anticipated in McLennan County history. The courtroom overflowed with journalists, family, church members, and ordinary citizens shocked by the idea of a pastor murdering his wife. The prosecution painted a chilling picture. Matt Baker had carefully planned Kari's death. He gave her a fatal dose of sleeping pills, waited for her to lose consciousness, and smothered her. Then he staged the suicide scene with a note he had typed himself. His motive: to rid himself of his wife so he could be with his mistress and maintain his image as a grieving, faithful husband. Vanessa Bulls took the stand and delivered the most damning testimony. She confessed that Matt had admitted to her, just weeks after Kari's death, that he had drugged and killed her. She said she stayed silent out of fear and emotional manipulation. As she testified, Linda Doolin held her composure, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. Her daughter's voice had been silenced, but the truth was now deafening. What further intensified the courtroom drama was testimony from church members who had noticed Matt's increasingly odd behavior. Some recalled that shortly after Kari's death, Matt began giving sermons about grief that sounded rehearsed and devoid of real emotion. One even remembered him joking about being back on the market. His actions, layered with the mounting evidence, painted the picture of a man desperate to move on from the life he had so violently erased. The forensic team also presented a chilling revelation. Trace amounts of skin cells found under Kari's fingernails matched Matt's DNA, suggesting a struggle had occurred, a final attempt by Kari to fight for her life. They also demonstrated how the pill bottle was placed in a position too perfect, almost like it had been arranged for dramatic effect. Crime scene experts explained how truly suicidal individuals rarely leave their surroundings in such curated condition. The jury deliberated for a few tense hours. When the guilty verdict was read aloud, there was a collective exhale. Matt Baker was sentenced to 65 years in prison, with eligibility for parole only after serving at least 27. After the trial, Linda Doolin didn't disappear into grief. She became a voice, strong, unwavering, for women caught in silent domestic abuse. She set up the Kari Doolin Baker Foundation, dedicated to educating women on the early signs of coercive and psychological control. Her efforts have led to numerous speaking engagements, from women's shelters to legislative halls, where she lobbied for more protections for victims. Kari's daughters, now young women, carry their mother's legacy. They have grown under Linda's care, surrounded by truth, love, and remembrance. They have also forgiven, not for Matt's sake, but for their own healing. They understand the complexity of pain, but more importantly, the necessity of resilience. The community that once rallied around Matt in blind faith eventually confronted their own disbelief. Many who once sang his praises now visit Kari's grave, bringing flowers, prayers, and quiet apologies. It is a stark reminder that evil often wears familiar faces. In moments of quiet reflection, Linda often rereads Kari's journals, piecing together fragments of her daughter's inner world. One passage stands out: "The darkest storms bring the brightest dawns." For Linda, Kari, and the daughters left behind, that dawn is still rising. If you're moved by this story and want more deep dives into true crime investigations and stories of courage, make sure to subscribe to our channel, like this video, share it with others, and comment below with a crime story you'd like us to uncover next.